Well, hello and welcome back. Thanks for coming back. Beautiful day today, slight breeze, and of course that's the view of the blue Mediterranean Sea. And on top of that, we've got a blue car to look at as well. And this is a Honda HRV, the first incarnation of the baby SUV from Honda. And this one is a 2001, August to be precise, so that makes it what? 23 years old. And that is a testament to Honda's engineering and to the gentleman that bought it brand new. Yes, you heard me correctly. Come and have a look at it. Let's take you around to the front of it, because I actually think it's quite a good looking car. And I remember when they first came out, Honda marketed this as their lifestyle vehicle, and all of their advertising campaigns had surfboards, and they were showing it driving in and around the canyons in America and along the beaches in the likes of Australia. In the UK, I think they took it down to Cornwall maybe and stuck a surfboard on top of it as well. Unfortunately for them, it didn't work. No. Unfortunately, Honda has this image of the older person driver, and this car didn't actually sell that well, and their owners continued to buy the Jazzes and the Civics and the Accords. But of course, as time has gone on, the world has actually changed, and now people like jacked up little four-wheel drives. And an awful lot of them have been exported from Japan, from the UK, and they've arrived to the island of love, which of course is Cyprus. And this is one of them. And there's a lot of these still driving around. It's an old car, but it suits its purpose in Cyprus because it's jacked up that little bit. This one has got four-wheel drive as well. Not proper four-wheel drive, primarily it's front-wheel drive, but if it senses a bit of slip, there's a tube in the middle that fills up with liquid, and then it tells the rear wheels to come into operation as well. So perhaps on a wet day, perhaps a little bit of minor off-roading on the sand, or you get stuck on a little field or something, this could be that perfect car. Anyway, come on, let's go have a look at it, and I'll tell you what I like about it. I think that the front is quite good looking. I do like the little cutouts around the lights. I think they look quite nice, and I do like the bumper design. It's not too macho, but it's that little bit jacked up. And of course, if you drive around a town, around a city, you don't want a car that's too big if you're going to mount that curb, do you? So this could be that car for you. Now, like I was saying, let's give you the history on this car. Originally, it is from Japan, came into Cyprus at 3 years old, and then it was bought by the gentleman, and he's owned it from that day on. So approximately, he's had this car for 20 years. I think it's about 19 years, and it's never let him down. All he's ever done is serviced it, tyres, brakes, those kind of things. Had a little bit of paint work because of the sun. And as we look at it now, I've just bought it off the gentleman. If you're curious to know how much, 1,000 euros. That's what I've paid him, because he said that this car has served him well. He's known me for years, and he's now gone on and bought a much newer Honda. He's decided to treat himself. Says it could be his last car. So hats off to him. Well, let's have a look at it. We haven't washed it, we haven't cleaned it. Again, he leaves it with the windows open outside his villa, so all sorts of dust and all sorts goes in. Come on, come have a look at it. So as we see, if we come and have a look, underneath the actual dirt, as we can see, it is rather shiny. One or two bits have been painted over the years, don't get me wrong. I remember we did the bonnet. We didn't do the roof because he decided not to do it a few years back. So the roof, this is what happens if you come and have a look as time goes on in a hot climate. Obviously the lacquer gets cooked and it starts to blister, go in a car wash, the water goes under, the blisters get bigger and bigger. So the roof is knackered, and so are the A-pillars. And this is how that's quite severe on it. All the lacquer's gone in that area. But if we come and zoom in there, this is what starts to happen. So they're not stone chips, the lacquer starts to, well, delaminate, shall we say. And then it goes in little bubbles, looks like stone chips, and slowly but surely it starts to tear away. So we're obviously going to paint the A-pillars, we're going to paint the roof. But overall, as I take you around the car, I think you'd agree, for a car of this age, it's in pretty good nick. And there's not that too many dings. You may have noticed that that is not the same colour as that. One of the most common accidents, isn't it? Whether you clip it or someone else clips it, but the mirrors often get damaged. Obviously this one's been clipped again, so we're going to have to fix it. And of course, while we're painting the A-pillars in the roof, we'll paint that as well. If we get down on our knees and we start to have a look, again, plastic wheel trims, and as we can see, the paint is coming off. So they look a little bit scruffy, but these are the genuine original Honda wheel trims. So we'll take them off and we will paint them. And for those of you familiar with Honda, I don't know any other car manufacturer that ever did this. I'm not saying that I've seen every car in the world, but Honda used to actually put the bolts on as if they were like an alloy wheel. Whereas of course most car manufacturers just stick on the plastic trim, and of course when you buy an aftermarket. So these trims can never come off because they're on with the bolts. So we're going to paint those. If we cast our eyes to the tyres and have a good look at them, we can see that these are absolutely, they're almost like new, by the way. When they've all been shined up, they're almost like new. These tyres have done less than 5,000 kilometres, so less than 3,000 miles. And as we continue to the back tyre and have a look, we can see again, we can get our fingers all the way into that trim. So again, a perfectly good tyre. The rear pads were changed not long ago, and the front discs again were done around about 2 to 3 months ago. So we know the history on this car, and we've serviced this car for about the last 10 to 12 years. So we know that it is a good car, an old car, but a good car. As we come round to the back of it, a very, very practical mini SUV. And as I open the rear end, you're going to understand, well, one, it's got one of those on the back of it, which of course is a H, which stands for Honda. And if you've got a T on your car or a H on your car, you're not going to go far wrong. And this car is testament to that. 24 years old, and of course, it's never ever broken down. There's no clonks in the suspension. There's no silly noises from the engine. We'll take you on a little test drive afterwards just to prove it. It's just dirty. And it is dirty. There's no doubt about that. Because of course the gentleman goes down to the beach, takes his dog with him. I don't think he cares that much about this car, but he does care about the mechanics of it. But we're pretty sure that we are going to clean this car up. This car's never even had a puncture, by the way. There's its original space saver, but the gentleman did change the tyre on this 2 or 3 years ago, because of course the MOT told him. And talking about MOTs, when we get round to the passenger side, I will show you that we've just had a brand new MOT on it, and guess what? No advisories whatsoever, none. This car is nigh on perfect. Let's keep going round. A common fault, about to die. A common fault on these cars is the bumper, the rear bumper. The way, when I say fault, if you understand me in a second, if you give it a little bit of a nudge, it tends to stretch the clip down the side, which makes it misfit. But on top of that, it then pushes up and often breaks the bottom of the light. And you often find there's a crack in the lights. But as we can see, that needs a realignment, but the light is not damaged. And of course, if we go back to the other side, again, it's the same. And again, I think this gentleman was very, very lucky, and he's actually lost a little bit on the bottom. Because again, it's come out, so you reset it, there's actually a little clip where it goes in. So more often we take the light out and we put a bolt in it to actually hold it into place. But he's very lucky that it didn't break all that light, because again, as the car gets older, it's getting more difficult to get parts. But not only that, of course, it's a big light, so they are quite expensive. So let's keep going. When we come round to this side, if you pan down the side, you're going to start to notice, I'm not saying there's not the odd ding in there, but you've got to look very, very, very carefully if you want to find one. This car's been looked after, there's no doubt about it. And again, one of my tests on used cars, even on the jacked up ones, is when we start to look at the sill. And we can see that, like on the other side, the sill is perfect. And this is a plastic sill, it's like a sill cover, but there's no damage whatsoever. So the gentleman has been very, very careful with this car over the last 20 years or so, which is a long, long time indeed. Again, if we get down, we can see that the paint is coming off the wheel trims. We're going to paint them. Again, matching tyre, and again, huge depth of trim. A testament that it's an old car, but the man who was driving it, not short of money, made sure that all the mechanics were absolutely bob on, shall we say. When we come to this mirror, this is the mirror that tends to get away with the damage. There's no damage on that mirror, just wants a bit of a polish, like I say. So I think so far, we've noticed that we're going to be doing the A-pillars, we're going to be doing the roof, refitting that rear bumper, painting those wheel trims, doing these front lights, and that's going to be about it. And of course a very good valet inside. Again, if we come to the front, we've got a matching tyre again, absolutely perfect tread, again perfect discs, perfect pads, no problem with it whatsoever. Absolutely. I mean, I do love these cars, by the way. Lots of people who know me understand Honda, Toyota, you're not going to go far wrong. And I think that this one, because it's been owned by so long by the same guy who serviced it, this one's never going to give anyone any trouble, as long as you treat it with that same respect. Come on, let's get the bonnet open and have a quick look under there. Like I say, we've not washed this car, we've literally just picked it up. You can never remember where these things are, can you? But under here somewhere is the release key, I promise you. Let me get down on my knees and have a quick look. As you can see, it is live filming on the little channel known as Cars and Me. Let's have a quick look, shall we? Bring the camera in and let's have a look. Yes, well, it's not the dirtiest engine in the world, but it's not the cleanest engine in the world. But as we can see, it's actually a good sign when the engine's got a bit of dirt on it, because you start to understand if anyone's been fiddling around in the back. And no, they haven't. Nope, all the sensors in the back there are fine. We've got a pretty new battery. So that one was put on literally in February 24. Again, a man who didn't want his battery to go flat on him, obviously. And as we start to look down here, we're looking for oil leaks and drips and dampness. And I can promise you, there's none. As we look to the lower part of the engine, that's going to be the oil when they've been filling it up. And the major problem on this car, and you'll understand when we go on a test drive, this one hasn't got it by the way, is the CVT gearbox. It's a good gearbox, but of course as the car gets older and as the mileage mounts up, they start to slip, because basically it's a belt on two cogs, and the cogs start to lose their teeth and the belt starts to slip, and eventually you won't be able to drive the car. This car drives absolutely as if it came out of the showroom, and when we drive it you'll understand. But I think it's a great car, and I think it's time for us to go and have a look inside, and you'll understand that it's a dirty car, as I say. So let me open these doors, and then the cameraman can have a good look, and I'll pop in the other side and talk you through it. Now, if the cameraman comes over here, we always understand that the driver's seat obviously gets much, much more wear than any other part of the car. And all we've got on this car is a little bit of sinkage in the foam, but there's actually no rips, no tears, and no damage onto any of the seats. So I think we will steam clean it, perhaps take off the outer cover and wet up the sponges to foam them back up, and then put the cover back on, and this seat will be like new, no damage whatsoever, nothing. Yeah, you often see in a car someone puts the seat belt like that when they take pictures when they're trying to sell it because there's a rip or something. Absolutely nothing, absolutely perfect. Just wants a very, very good clean. Let me get in and let me tell you a little bit more about it, because you can see there's a lot of dirt. Show the dash, Mr. Cameraman. Ingrained dirt. But of course, we will literally scrub it, and then we will put the shiny products on it, and it will come back to new. And I'm pretty sure all of this dash wheel, there's no delamination in any of the markings on any of the buttons on the stereo. This is the heated screen, by the way. This is obviously the hazards. And a common fault is that these get broken, because people are always adjusting them, and then they're hanging the holders for the smartphones, and again, they're in perfect working order. And the only problem is the steering wheel. I'm not going to take this off, but I know up the top there's a bit of wear, because that's where people hold it. But most people just put a steering wheel cover on it, and of course, like I say, it's a 24-year-old car. When it's all cleaned up, it will be absolutely lovely. Now, I told you I was going to show you the MOT, and I am. Here we are. This is the MOT certificate, where we took it to our very, very stringent MOT man, by the way. This guy's the most stringent person in Cyprus, maybe in the whole of Paphos, there's no doubt about that. And he gave it a full bill of health, and now it has 2 years of MOT.
And this is their latest thing where they show you they've checked this and they've checked that and they've checked that. And even the emissions on it are absolutely crystal clear. Not a problem. No advisories at all on a car that is 24 years old. And of course that is testament to the man that owned it. Another unique feature of this little car, by the way, you've got this little glove box up here and you've got a much bigger one down there full of all these bits and bobs. That's a useful size. This one is very useful for keeping your documents or perhaps your sunglasses and a little pen, as it in this case. So very, very practical car. When you come to the central dash, underneath the stereo, we understand today most people may take this out and put themselves in an Apple CarPlay unit. Perfect for it. Or you've got a little cubby. Down here, you've got two cup holders, one for my rather nice hot latte. Let me have a slurp. Massive space in the back, by the way. Obviously, you can either convert this or just put an adapter in there to charge up your smartphone or your laptop or whatever else you might be doing. And if I start it up, on the dash, there are absolutely no warning lights whatsoever, except for the fuel light has just come on. If I close the doors, well, I can't close all doors in one go. These are, one is the handbrake, obviously, and this one is telling us doors are open, and that down there is the fuel light. Everything works, all the lights are working, none of the bulbs are out. The car is perfect, except for being very, very dirty indeed. And like I say, on the test drive, I'll explain to you the noises that you want to listen out for on the gearbox and the clonks, and on this car there are none whatsoever. Here, what would you call it? I wouldn't call it an armrest, although you can get an adapter that brings it as an armrest. It's just a little place perhaps to put your smartphone. A little cubby down here, not much use, but quite a practical car, quite a practical car indeed. So let's go and have another walk round it and let's decide what we're going to do to this car. And I'll tell you what, you guys can drop in the comments, what do you think we should do? Because I'll tell you again, we've paid 1,000 euros for this car. If we do the roof, because say down the sides is smart. On the back it's smart apart from the adjustment of the rear bumper. If we do the lights, if we paint the wheel trims, if we colour code that other mirror, that for a 24-year-old car is going to be what we would call a very, very clean car. If we steam clean the interior and make sure that it smells nicely, it's got a full MOT, it's road tax till the end of the year. All you got to do is pop the insurance on it, cross my palm with 2,750 euros, and you could be driving a car that could keep you mobile for another 20 years, as long as you service it. Going to costs of running it, if you want to know how much this car would cost in Cyprus, if you were buying a full set of tyres, you are looking at probably between 350 and 400 euros. That's for a mid-price brand of tyres. You can get some cheaper and obviously you can pay more. So say 400 euros every 2 or 3 years, depending how many kilometres you drive, for a set of tyres. Front pads, that's going to cost you about 150 euros, let's say every couple of years. Discs, around about 400 euros every 3 to 4, possibly 5 years, depends how many hills you're going up and down. The service, so your oil change, your filters, about 250 euros per year. And then once every 2 to 3 years, there is a fluid that goes into the gearbox, and that has a reservoir in the front. And one of the first checks you should do is that, and to make sure that it is a pinky colour, because a lot of mechanics put in different gearbox fluids, but this car is from Honda, and Honda wants you to use a certain fluid, and it's a pinky colour. Yeah? Most of the time it's either orangey or yellowy. So if you check in the reservoir, pull the stick out, and you'll find if it's not pink, someone has skimped a bit. And the reason for it is because that fluid you can only buy from Honda, and that fluid in Cyprus costs 90 euros. Yes, you heard me correctly, it costs 90 euros. So if someone's going to change your gearbox fluid in Cyprus, they should be charging you around about 150 euros. Otherwise, they're not using the right fluid. Anyway, let's have a look at the front of it again, and let's say, what are we going to do to it? And I'd like you guys to drop in the comments, what would you do? and where would you be happy at? Remember, it's going to be on sale for €2,750, so we're going to take about 2,500, and that is pretty cheap for a good conditioned Honda HRV. We're able to sell them cheaper than a lot of people because of our customer base who trust us, and when they want to swap their cars, they come to us first and we come up with a deal, we have a laugh and a joke, and that's how I bought this one. So it's got brand new tyres, almost, brand new brakes, almost. The lights, I think we'll do. Yeah, we'll do the lights. I think we'll have a bit of a play with that. Again, a common fault, there's a clip on the inside, it's come out, so we'll get that to go in. Apart from that, all the front is looking nice. We'll put a little bit of touch-up paint on that little nick there. Obviously, we will change all of its oils and its fluids and check its belts to be safe. Again, if we come round to this side, common fault, this one's not quite so bad, but it comes off its clip, so we'll get it to sit a little bit better. I say we'll paint the wheel trims all round. We will fix this and paint that. The wipers always go to look a bit scruffy, so we'll just sand that a little bit off there, and we'll paint the wipers in black. We will respray the A-pillars. We will respray the roof. I say we come down this side, this is where the parking dings are. To be fair, the other side was not bad at all. There's a little dink in there, there's another one there, but we're not going to bother with that. This sill, as I was saying, is perfect, even when the gentleman's getting outside, when it's all cleaned up. So we're not going to do that. When we go to the inside, like I say, we're going to scrub the living daylights out of it, give it a full valet. Just let me show you, actually, for such a small little SUV, how practical it actually is. That's in my driving position, and I do sit that little bit far back, by the way. And, well, there's a lot of room there, isn't there? You know, if you're having this as a holiday car, and there's a lot of room up there, the only thing I go on about is, on a long journey, you haven't got much under thigh. It's not designed to go 50, 60 miles. It's meant to nip to the supermarket, those kind of things. But there's certainly enough room in the back. They say 3 in the back. I would say 2. And I think you'll be doing all right. I've just spotted something else we've got for free. There you go. We'll leave that in the car. So for the rainy days that are coming, you get a free brolly as well. Nice car. It is a nice car. Let's have a look in the boot again. Let's have a quick check. We're going to do this, aren't we? Yeah. We're going to reposition that and put a bolt into it. Let's just check. Is that all tight? Yeah, that's all tight down there. Yep. Same on this side. Yep, it's all tight. So again, we'll reposition this to get it to fit that a little better, so it looks nicer, shall we say. This is where a sticker was on, obviously. So we'll get some remover and get that off, and then polish that piece. This is where the chrome badge has come off. So we can buy one of those, but sometimes they're a different size. So again, we'll get this sticky off and we'll put a HRV badge on the back. Luckily, it's got the most important badge in the world on the back, which is a Honda. We'll change the front wipers and we'll be changing that wiper. And we'll paint that little bit as well there, because that's where the sun is sitting. And if you come in and look, you can see that it's taken all the lacquer off there, and there's just lacquer there. So it's come off. Again, combination of the hands going on as well. So we'll do that little piece. Apart from that on the back, it's not looking too bad. Obviously that wants a very, very good clean. And one of the most common things missing from these cars is the rear parcel shelf. People take it out, perhaps when they're carrying some luggage or bits and bobs around, they put it in the garage and they forget about it. You never know, you might have it. If not, it's a problem. So it's quite a good size, nice big rectangle. But on top of that, watch this. If you just open that and you push that down and you push that one down, look at that. Except for all the dirt and the WD-40, it's like a minivan. It really, really is. So I think it's a great car, and I think it's going to be a fantastic car for its next owner. It may be a holiday car, or it may be someone's pride and joy, or it may be that car that takes them on that commute in and around town. I'm going to say thanks for watching. If you like what you see, please hit the like. It doesn't cost you a single penny. Consider to subscribe to the channel. It doesn't cost you a single penny. But of course, if you do want to keep us afloat, why not go and hunt us down? Cars and Me, buy me a coffee, Cars and Me. Up will come our landing page with a little bit more about us. and you could choose to gift us that virtual coffee or two as a thank you, as a gesture of goodwill. If there's a car you want to see, drop it in the comments, and you never know, that video may be coming very, very soon indeed, especially for you. Let's walk you to the sea's edge and allow you to feast your eyes and to digest upon that, the spectacality of a morning on the island of love in downtown Patfos. Thanks for watching, and of course I will look forward to your company again very, very soon indeed.